we talked about Josh Gilreath when we were here, and his vision was to actually have a staff person cover every team here. He never got to see that happen when he was here. Now we have 8. We're able to cover every team.
Right.
So we're getting to kind of fulfill the vision that Josh had, which is pretty cool.
Welcome to the Created to Be podcast. We're back for our final week in 2025. We're wrapping up the year, Justin.
So sad.
This is also episode 10, which is the most in a season, if you would call it a season. We're going to keep going for Tuesdays, but it's a mile marker for us.
It's also your favorite number.
Yeah, 10 is my favorite. Yeah, so we've done, in previous seasons, we definitely changed up this podcast this year, but in previous seasons, we did 6 episodes of fall, and that was it. Justin's cheesing at me right now. I'm not sure why.
No, you're just so happy.
We're sitting across from each other instead of next to each other today. So, anyways.
I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah, we'll see.
A lot of eye contact.
We'll see. Eye smiles.
Gosh. They don't know what eye smiles are.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. All right. So, anyways, yeah. So, 10th episode, final of 2025. It seems right and fitting that we would do an episode on kind of like the greatest moments of the semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fitting.
And so we're going to get to that as far as like FCA highlights, some of the moments that we want to reflect back on, and just want to say we are going to talk about like how we have these top 10 lists or whatever mostly we're familiar with it in sports, but even on other TV shows and stuff like that. So when we get to the FCA list, it's not in any particular order. We're not ranking them because it's kind of hard to do that whenever you're in a relational ministry. Not one thing was necessarily greater than the other.
Yeah.
So our list will be a little different, but we are going to highlight some things that we remember. On the last podcast, just want to shout out Taylor Pitts again. She did a great job. We talked about hometowns, sprinkled in a little bit about traditions, and talked about Detroit. And that was a lot of fun. I hope that y'all tuned in and learned about Detroit. We even talked about some things that she was like, oh, I didn't know that. I learned about that today. So that was a lot of fun. This is a slower time on campus. So we do have basketball around. Taylor is the athletic trainer for basketball, so we're familiar with basketball being around. But there's some other sports that have shortened breaks that we might not think about. So football, for sure, a lot of people might know because we made the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So they are around. They will be around.
Fighting for some mayonnaise.
Yeah. And then we have track, which might be one that people aren't as familiar with because their season's pretty unique. So they have an indoor season and an outdoor season in the spring.
Yeah, so they start right up.
When they come back, they got to be ready to go.
Yes.
So anyway, that's happening. And then one that maybe people really don't think about is cheer and dance. We were at the basketball game over the break, and they're here, So there's just a lot of people still here, which is great. But hopefully they'll get enough time. They get short breaks over the holidays and then they'll be back. So that's really all the updates we have as far as like who's still here on campus, what athletes and coaches are still around. So we see them from time to time, but we're going to record this podcast and talk about top 10 highlights in the stretch time today. Justin, I know that you were an avid ESPN watcher.
Oh yeah. Sports Center.
Okay.
The, Stuart Scott Van Pelt, Rich Eisen, Keith Olbermann, before he went crazy. He's a little out there now. But those guys, Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick were a great combo. And just all the phrases, the bringing the highlights to life, the fun phrases of putting the biscuit basket or cooler than the other side of the pillow, or, Kenny Mayne used to do some funny stuff. Kenny Mayne, goodness gracious. All those characters that you see on TV bring those things to life, man. There's nothing like a top 10 list. Like that was the highlight of the show. And then 30 minutes later, you'd watch it again because it would just replay.
Yeah.
And then I also grew up with top 10 list. My dad really liked David Letterman. And so watching that shenanigans for a top 10 list is still gold. I wish I had
Well, and that concept of a top 10 is it's common in a lot of different places, but our kids like Dude Perfect, and Dude Perfect often has things like that, whether it's top 10 cereals or top 10 superheroes or something, like it's just a concept that we get used to hearing, and have those times where we can be like, no, it's not right. And again, we're not going to rate these FCA moments like that. But one thing that I found really interesting is that I have always associated like top 10 in sports with ESPN and their top 10. But it's not necessarily, that concept is not necessarily associated with like one specific show. I wish that Darius and Brandy were able to be with us today to hear about like their, like that concept. Darius is out, not feeling the best, and then Brandy couldn't join us today. So we'll try to do our best to rehash these moments with FCA. But before we do that, I just thought this was interesting. The concept of ranking sports moments or teams like AP polls started in 1936 for college football, and then that evolved. So it started from like ranking sports to these dedicated top 10 lists becoming popular in sports magazines like Sports Illustrated. And they would highlight specific events or achievements so that fans would engage. And so I would think that that's like what we like to, it's short and sweet, which is probably what makes it so easy to engage with, like a top 10 list or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a full story. It's just like recap, and like, look at this awesome thing. It's like when we talked about several episodes ago, like at the very beginning, those highlights where you don't have to watch a whole game. It's just this short attention span, really awesome, like play. It's exciting. You don't have to wait for it. And it's a compilation of that.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun, too, when they get, like, the smaller schools involved.
Oh, yeah.
And so these, and different sports.
Yeah.
And,
I think some of the most,
on the season.
Yeah, I think some of the most amazing top 10 that I've seen is soccer. Like, some of the things that they do in soccer is wild.
Yeah.
So I like those.
Yeah. And even some hockey stuff. We don't obviously get any hockey here. And I like postseason hockey. That's about the time that I would watch it. But, man, some of the plays that they can make, pretty impressive. And you just don't see that in the South. So it's nice to kind of get that.
Did you ever get into, like, Sports Illustrated, their magazines and stuff?
No, I didn't read. I didn't read that much at all. If it had Michael Jordan on the cover, I would look at it. Or if somebody that I was like a favorite. We didn't get a copy of it. I think we went through a period where we did, but then we, maybe my dad's office or something. But,
yeah, because it says that concept of like top 10 years in sports or top 10 became like a recognized format because of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, and then with sports broadcasting like ESPN, top 10 countdowns became a staple. So anyway, do you remember any like top 10? You mentioned Michael Jordan already. And obviously we're that era where we've already mentioned some of his great moments on other episodes of our podcast. But what, do you remember any growing up of like incredible plays that you saw on the top 10 list?
Oh gosh, dear. I mean, we got any World Series or NBA Finals, any Jordan highlight. I had so many top 10s for just watching that guy.
Was Randy Johnson on there with the bird?
Yeah, that's a funny moment. So if you know this, I don't know if you've seen this, look up Randy Johnson, bird, and you would see him as he's throwing the ball to the plate, a bird crosses the path and catches 100 miles an hour, and that bird just goes poof. You just see feathers.
I don't know if we should endorse that on the podcast, but it happened.
The timing of that.
Right.
Sorry, bird, but I mean, that moment just unreal.
What constitutes in your mind like a highlight that would make, like, what are qualifications to make? Because that, for instance, I don't know what happened after that, but to me that should be a top 10 play because of what you just said, like the timing, like the improbability of this thing happening. Like you're like, we got to show the people what happened if they missed this.
I don't know, it's memorable moments. Like if you look at, like one of them is Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura. That's a moment that you always think about. So Robin Ventura Nolan kind of threw one up and in at him, and Robin didn't like it, and he was a young player at the time, and Nolan was like the old veteran. Robin decides to, as he got hit, run right up to Nolan and attack him, like try to hit him. Nolan put him in the headlock and got 10 hits in.
Wow.
Like, and it was like...
Was that on the top 10?
No, but it was just, I mean, it's a moment. You're like, what defines a top 10 moment?
Right, yeah.
Like, that I've seen in my sports time was at that moment.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw that one,
Yeah.
Jordan's final shot against the Jazz, that's a moment for me that I remember. And he came out of retirement again and played for the Wizards. But besides the point, That was the moment. Like, there's just moments that you see and that you remember.
I think a lot of incredible plays too that they show on those types of things is like whenever the baseball players will catch, an outfielder will catch over the wall or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like run into the wall and
Yeah.
somehow they come up with it, or the diving catch. Like, I think that those are always, so like timing, I think makes a great play, or
Yeah.
makes a great moment that you would want to show again, because so many things like have to line up for somebody to be able to like make all this come together at this time. So I think I've seen a lot of clips like that. It has to do with like, or even in basketball, like a good alley-oop or something like that. Or, it's like two people aren't involved, and so there's this timing involved. And that's, I think, really interesting to see as a fan. It's like how all these things came together to make this play.
Yeah. I mean, it could be the bigness of the game. It could be the craziness of maybe an upset. It could be just an off-the-wall thing that never happens in a sport before that happens, i.e. Randy Johnson hitting a bird,
Right.
Or an ultimate meltdown that you never see. I think of George Brett getting thrown out of the baseball game because he had pine tar too high on his bat. He went absolutely nuts on the ref and, and bumped him and everything. I'm sure he got fined and suspended for it, but it was just crazy. So there's moments that we all remember that are for a lot of different reasons, not just clutch performances or the flu game from Jordan, whatever it may be.
Why do you think people are so engaged with the top 10 thing? Like, why are we fascinated with putting things in lists and ranking things? Like even our son Eli, I'm like, Mom, can I look at ESPN? I want to see the rankings. Like, why do we get so obsessed with rankings, lists?
We've been wired to do that. We measure everything. I mean, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
In our jobs, most of our jobs require measuring something. Like you mentioned, the difference in our jobs. To go through a top 10 list for these things and to try to like put them in exact order.
Yeah.
That seems pretty silly.
Yeah.
That would kind of defeat the purpose. How do you go, well, we had 5 salvations. How's that not number 1? That should be the best, and we all have those emphasis. But I think with our jobs and the great debate of sports, what it's become, it's always about, it's the one thing to debate. We're always debating who's the GOAT.
Yeah.
That's the best. And so we have the one, and then we're all talking about the following list or debating who's number 1 because apparently that makes good TV. I don't think it produces great things necessarily because we see the world and see others from a lens of a ranking system.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just the way we're wired because we've been taught that. I think SportsCenter got on something early, top plays, all that stuff. They saw how much it was great, and then it just continued to evolve into these debate shows.
Yeah, true.
And so now everything's about a debate because people want to see people just debate and share talking points of the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't really know why. It can be kind of exhausting.
Yeah, it can be exhausting. I will say though, somewhat rewarding, a lot rewarding when you see your team at the top. We were not in school at the time when Dak Prescott was here, but I do remember wherever we were living at the time, really enjoying asking Siri, hey, Siri, who's at the top of the AP poll in college football? And seeing Mississippi State next to that number 1. It was pretty nice.
So, Bethany, what did you do tonight? Well, I kept asking Siri who's number 1 from the
How many times can
poll.
I see Siri answer this question before she changes? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been there for sure where it's like something about it feels really good, to be up there.
Yeah, I mean, if it
Some kind of pride.
didn't produce something in us that we liked, we wouldn't be doing
Yeah, we
this.
wouldn't care.
There is a pride that comes with being in a certain number,
Right.
being up there and being relevant,
Right.
based on whatever they say is relevant,
Right.
And so, yeah, it does kind of scratch the itch
Yeah.
a little bit there. And so we do enjoy it. We also don't enjoy it when we're not anywhere near any kind of top anything.
Right.
Which is, the heartache of being a Bulldog fan at times. But,
yeah. We love this place.
No, yeah. It's where it is.
Yeah. So top 10, kind of like just chatting about that today for the stretch, but we'll get into these moments with FCA. Again, not in any particular order, but just some memorable highlights from the year that we wanted to rehash because it's been a really cool year. As we came into this semester, we knew some things would be different just with our approach collectively as a staff. So we changed a lot of things. We actually changed a lot of what the huddle feels like in the experience for the athletes and for the leaders too. The student leaders, they do a great job of, their schedules are so busy that we've changed a lot of how we've structured what it looks like to invest in leaders, and they have just rolled with it. And one of the things that we've done is changed how the huddle, we used to have a lot more teaching, I guess, on the front end with some engagement individually. Just we would prompt them to do individual exercises or things like that, and sometimes like in the room. But then sometimes we would do small groups, but we went all in on small groups this semester. And I would say that that's a highlight for me thinking about this semester is how the leaders engaged with that, because we'd come in and we would split people up in groups. And I was kind of nervous about how the general, group coming in would feel about having a different group every time. But the leaders were like, no, we like it that way. And it seemed not to deter anybody, which was great. Like people knew that that's kind of what the feel would be like at the huddles. And so most of the huddles were like that. And that's just our weekly meeting on Mondays on campus that's open to any student and all the athletes. And so, that was a really cool thing. So we would do like the message portion would be 10 to 15 minutes of a message, but then the leaders would really take on that last part of the huddle and lead small groups. And I think from that, I saw a lot of growth and development from not only the leaders, because it gave them a place to serve, which it's really hard with their limited capacity to find those places where they can exercise those gifts, of those leadership abilities that are in this space of walking with the Lord. And so that was really cool because they just don't really have a ton of extra time to do a ton, other things. Some athletes can get out there and speak at local high schools or do more stuff like that, but this gave them a consistent place to plug in. So that would be a highlight for me. What would be a highlight for you that comes to mind?
Well, sticking to the huddle, I think one of the moments we had was the game night, which was a blast.
In Shira.
Yeah,
combo.
The combo game night, I think you orchestrated the multiple events, and then we had staff running different games, and it was fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it was intense. There was a lot of sweat going on, a lot of athleticism, safe athleticism being shown. It was just a lot of fun, and it got heated in a good way and very competitive. And so it was just good to see them have fun and compete. And it was just a variety of people in the room. I mean, there was probably every team represented in there, minus football, I think. And it was just, it was a special time.
And shout out to Mary Ashley, our intern. She did a great job making a post. She makes post-huddle, posts on Instagram all the time. But that one, she got a lot of the groups in the pictures. And that was, I think, the same night that was another highlight for us, which was one of the athletes was going to have surgery the next day. And we just took a moment to pray for her. And so that was, I believe, at the end of game night. Cause there was so that was
I just asked the group, I was like, who else has had a surgery before? And like half the room.
Right.
Significant surgery. And so I think it kind of shocked her. Mm-hmm. But we had a great time. But then to come around her, everybody came around her, but a few of the students led a prayer.
Yeah.
It was really a really good time. Really blessed her a lot. And I think it was a big culture builder. It was like a big culture moment from what this group this year is going to be about and what they're going to kind of build for. And it was like a changing of the guard, a lot of new people this year. And so it was, that was a really pillar like moment for the year.
Yeah. And one thing that has changed that we've talked a lot about as a staff is just that, there's so much turnover and transition for these athletes coming in and out with the portal and everything. And so it's really made us think about like, what are those dynamics? What are the dynamics supposed to be from staff to athlete relationship, and some of them, can go deeper and form those one-on-one relationships to where, you might end up doing their wedding one day or, but others, you just can't guarantee they'll even be here past one semester. And so one of the things that we feel like that we can provide in this space is to help them connect with each other as much as possible to grow with their peers in this space. And so I think things like that, showing them, modeling for them in those moments, like y'all can pray for each other. Let's do that now. We can have fun together. Let's do that now. And it doesn't mean that a staff, again, can't be as intentional. We can do that. But there's this other component that this will probably stick with them longer is these moments of sharing with their friends that they're going to probably have beyond this place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been really fun to watch. I do have a funny story from that night. A couple of the basketball players came, women's basketball, and I knew that they had had a hard practice, and they can't always make FCA. And so I was really pumped that they came, but I just kind of grimaced through my smile as they walked through the doors, and I apologized as I'm handing their name tag, saying, y'all, I'm so sorry, but it's a game night tonight. Because we've done game nights before, and some of those you could be kind of like chill because we just said, hey, who wants to play kickball? Who wants to do this? But that night we were splitting people up on teams, and we had...
Not this day.
Yeah, so we had like a football game going on that was tailored to the night. Like it wasn't straight up football. And then we had, I was going to say hopscotch, but anyways, a hula hoop
Rock,
game.
paper, scissors, hula hoop game.
And then we did have a trivia spot, like game. So that was, kind of time that they could catch their breath. But anyways, it's funny. They were great sports about it. But I was just like, oh my gosh, I maybe come next week. No, but they had a great time. And I think that those events are always helpful for people just to come. We had a lot of people there that came that might not have come to a lot of other things, but it can make them feel kind of comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
Another highlight, I would say, are just the testimonies that we've had. Manny Mevo from the track team, she shared her testimony. Mia from tennis, she shared her testimony. And then Garrig from baseball, he shared his testimony. And then Matthew Mackey, who is not an athlete, but he is athletic. Matthew, shout out to you out there. We do have some non-Mississippi State athletes that come to the huddle, and Matthew is a staple.
Been faithfully serving the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, he helps on the worship team, but he's also on the leadership team, and now he helps Taylor Troutman, who is on the softball team, lead the access group, which is another highlight we'll talk about here in a minute. But anyways, those students have done great just to share their testimonies and get up in front of the group, just to share what they've journeyed through. And I think it's always, and then at the end of the year, we had open mic. And that is not as formal, but, as far as like prepping for testimony and then them coming up to share for 2 to 5 minutes. But they did a great job with that. There was a lot. Like there was 17. So it's hard to like name all those people. But I think those are always highlights, just testimonies, people getting up, taking a chance to share about the work that God's doing in their heart. So,
another one that has come up is Brandy coming on full time.
Let's go,
Brandy Morgan.
Game changer.
Choosing to step away from teaching and to come back on full time.
Yeah,
man, we have had a hole to fill since she left, and what a gift. And then she has raised the funds, the support has come in, and so she's been full time for a couple months now. And talking about like dynamite, like just helped us a ton, brought so much organization, rebuilding and continuing to grow those relationships with soccer and softball. And she's tremendous.
One of the things that I love about having other peers on staff is just the ideas that you can get from each other, because there's gifts and abilities, across our staff. And when we have people that have all that life experience and then some FCA experience, there's ways that she interacts with other coaches or athletes that I have never even thought to. She is really good at being intentional with knowing when someone is about to have a surgery or they have this going on or that going on. And I struggle. With that. And so she's just by watching her, she may not even know, but just by watching her be intentional with like what's going on in people's lives, it's made me a little bit better for sure in that area. I say little bit because, I'm not perfect, but I have gotten ideas. And so I love that we can share that together. And she will be, I think, adding a huge part of community involvement whenever we get the pickleball tournament up and going in the spring. I think that's going to open up a whole new avenue of ways people can connect with FCA and get to know the athletes and stuff like that. So more to come on that. But I would say a couple highlights from me that are sports related. I know you might have a few on your list, Justin, but the Arizona State football win was really special at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Like it felt like Starkville was thirsty and we were given water that night. Like you could feel in the atmosphere at that game, like we are desperate. We want this so bad. And we did not stay to the end. We definitely watched it when we got home, the last part of it.
It's a late game.
It was late, yeah.
Ben,
3 kids,
ooh.
yeah. But to see how the fans stormed the field and just really soaked in that win was really cool to see. And in addition to that win, Joel Coleman, shout out to Joel and Logan Lowry, who do a great job.
2 of the best.
Yeah, covering all the sports. They talked about, I know Joel did, about how this was the best start in fall sports in school history.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we kind of hit a wall at some point and things started to somewhat kind of fall apart. But it was the best start. Like, it was really cool to watch across all these fall sports how strong we started those seasons. So those were 2 sports-related highlights that I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Keeping on sports-related highlights, Allie Perry.
Yeah.
Goodness, Allie Perry. A couple goals with like 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left.
Maybe even less than that, and clutch time. One a game for us at home, and the other got us a tie. Wow. Talking about somebody that just always has a chance and you give her any space late in the game, it's going to go in the goal.
Yeah. It was so special. I remember that game against Tennessee and just losing my mind. It's like soccer can get, at least for me, and no offense to those who play soccer, but you kind of get you in a lull. Like, you're just kind of, you're watching. And so whenever something explosive like that happens, I feel like the explosiveness comes out of me too at the same time, because I'm just like over here like, oh. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that just happened. And I'm like grabbing my cowbell going crazy.
We would probably be immature soccer fans.
Yeah. We're not seasoned at all.
No.
We're learning though. Okay, another highlight before we move on I got a few staff highlights, but the Access involvement. So there's a program at Mississippi State with Access. It's called Access, and in FCA world, we would call this group of people all ability. So they're ones that have just different learning disabilities and things like that. And there's more
in physical disabilities.
Yeah, and they play sports, which is awesome. Here at Mississippi State, they have a group that goes and they play like a club sport type situation where they go and play at Ole Miss or Alabama, or I think they're even going to Florida for a tournament of some sort. So like flag football. What else do they play? Basketball. Yeah, they've got some other things.
There's probably some more too.
Yeah, so
that's just the 2 that we know.
Yeah, so a small group. So about like 7 to 8 of those come to FCA, and it's just been really cool to see how that group has been consistent. And then Natalie and Chase Smith have come and helped and stepped in to help us be a consistent leader with this group. And then Matthew, like I said, Mackey, and then Taylor Troutman also have a passion just for that group and meeting their needs. And so Matthew and Taylor have been also really huge. So like we did something this year we've never done, which we don't have on our list in front of us, but another highlight would be the team meals that we've had, which kind of goes into one of the ones about staff here in a second. But we had Access, the group, over, we kind of called it their pregame because they were going to go play the next day. I think, who were they playing? Alabama?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, it was just really fun to have them over.
Carb load.
Yeah, that's what we were like, eat all this pasta, get ready for your game. But anyway, that's been like a new thing. And I love that FCA is doing what they can to resource that group, just in all abilities, and that arm of FCA. And so we love that we have the opportunity to minister to that group.
Big start, big person growing that ministry that was a part of starting it. Across FCA was Josh Gilreath.
Shout out.
Former FCA director here at Mississippi State, the one who really kind of started this as a full-time staff.
Yeah, he married us. He was our FCA director. So anyway, shout out to Josh. He's awesome, obviously. But transitioning a little bit to staff highlights, one is having Jason Stoker on the staff. And a lot of what we were talking about are new things that are developing, that are growing, that having staff that are, we range from full-time to part-time to very part-time. And then we have our intern, Mary Ashley. So we have varying degrees of commitment that we can make with our time to certain places and things. And having Jason, this area with golf and tennis was an area that you have been really passionate about, Justin, that I've watched, like you really desiring to see someone who can dedicate more time and attention to those teams. And in the same way that you were passionate about having somebody for football, like you just get in these areas as you've observed ministry opportunities and be like, man, I really want someone to be able to spend time with this team more intentionally. And thank goodness, we found Scott Nicholson. And so you got that role filled a few years ago. And then golf and tennis has been kind of the same. So you can talk more about Jason.
Yeah, no, Jason has plowed some ground really in some areas. And we have some amazing golf coaches here. Amazing. And they have been nothing but great for Jason. And this year, I feel like it's finally taken off for him. We had put together a dinner, had a family host it for us, for them, had put a great time together, really worked to get both teams there. He's going to have an opportunity to serve that team in different ways in this next semester. And he's amped up. He's a former golfer at William Carey and just loves getting to talk golf but really just getting to love on these guys and support these girls in any way that he can. He's that pastor's heart in him, and so it's really been great to see that come to pass. And those two coaches are tremendous. Charlie and Dusty are the best, and I just love the golf program.
And Jason has so many relationships and connections. One thing that I love is his ability to, if he can't do it, he can find someone who can. So even incorporating the people from First Baptist to be able to host this meal, come alongside, get involved in that way. That's another thing, just even talking about Brandy earlier, with some of the things she's able to create in her own ministry. That's the opportunity that we all have, is that, yes, we come under this umbrella, but we all have these specific ways that we can engage people different. And that just expands what, God is doing here.
I mean, Jason's even got, PGA golfer relationships. He had a guy do a video for the team.
Right.
And send it to him. So he's getting real creative.
Yeah.
It's cool to see the creativity come out. He really just wants to be a great support for them in this time. And so it's good to have somebody commit that time.
Right. Yeah. Things that you couldn't do.
No. He's helped with church partnerships as well and other fundraising efforts. And so it's a guy that knows a lot of people, but will go above and beyond to try to get other people involved.
Yeah. All right. And then another highlight you had was that Scott Nicholson.
Yeah. So Scott got breakthrough this year. Apparently in the past, the history was that the FCA person would travel. And when I got here, that kind of
changed.
Didn't happen. I went to one game for my one season with Coach Leach. And then with the transition, we just hadn't had anybody travel for a good 2 seasons. And this year, Scott got a chance to go on his first road trip. And I think it was to Florida. And so that was a big deal for us. We don't do this to travel.
Right.
And I want to communicate that. We don't do it for the stuff. We don't do it to travel. But if we get asked to, and it's a value to the team, it's a sacrifice. I mean, it's not really, it is a sacrifice because it's taken away from time. But, thankfully football trips are a little bit shorter. But Scott loves the opportunity to connect with the guys and the coaches and see them in that space and support them. And they see him as a value. And so he's gone on every trip since. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Pretty awesome opportunity. But it's also just a testament to Scott and the time he's put in. It's fun to watch him at practice. I mean, he is the first guy they see when they come out of the locker room onto the practice field, hugging, high-fiving, praying. Some guys need prayer before practice. I mean, it's just he does so much over there.
Yeah.
He's always in that building over there, spending time with coaches and even other staff that are not coaches. I mean, he's in it.
Yeah, and speaking of staff highlights, Shay and Jeremiah Pierce, they have been great to just invest consistently in track, and we've talked about Growth Room that they've created, and as part of this podcast, we've mentioned it a few times before, and that's just a track-only gathering, and it was just once a month. But track was like, we want more, and they are a fun bunch, competitive bunch, and we learned more about that when we played Jeopardy with them, which is in another podcast episode. So feel free to go look at that one. We won't rehash all that here. It was a good time, but it was pretty wild. And we are Shay and Jeremiah are perfect for this job. They understand the track world because they participated in track here. We're athletes here, but then they also just the dynamics and everything. They know how to navigate that space really well and lead them well. And so I know they said that the last Growth Room was a huge success, and they've had consistent people coming the whole time. And I think that's really cool that those people are consistently coming. It's part of their schedule. And it's just what's happening there is a huge testament to what Jeremiah and Shayla put in time and, every day. Is there anything you want to say about that?
No, track is normally the forgotten sport, but not with FCA.
Yeah.
It's been great. Jeremiah coming on staff 3 years ago. which is crazy to think about, like just over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And to build that and then having Shay come on the following year, it's really cool to see them grow in their leadership and what they want to build and create in that track culture. And really been special this year with this crop of leaders.
Yeah. And then we got to say Darius. Darius has been, I mean, just in general, I'm just saying a highlight is Darius. His personality and his wit, we appreciated. I'll lump this together with the podcast, has been a highlight. He said on the last podcast, he said, man, every time I come, I learn something. I don't expect that. And then I learn something. So that's good. But Darius really has been a faithful, consistent presence with men's basketball to take that step behind Tyson Cunningham, who did a phenomenal job for 10 years here. Those are some big shoes to fill. And Darius stepping in, it's pretty wild that Darius had the, ability to be a chaplain, but then also, I mean, Tyson led worship at the huddle.
Mm-hmm.
To have someone who could do that is really unique and such a blessing to us. So that's why I say Darius in general, him just is a highlight. You have anything you want to add to that, Justin?
No, you nailed it. He's awesome.
He is the highlight. And he's not here to argue with us about it. So there you go. Any other highlights? I wrote on here board members because oftentimes, we don't maybe mention as much the incredible people that are outside. They're not coming to Mississippi State every day to work with us, but they are supporting this ministry. And I'm not going to say names, but you have also donors. And you have consistent people who are monthly partners who might listen to this podcast, who we want to say thank you. Huge shout out to the people that have I know that we've had people that have supported us at Mississippi College, University of Texas, and still support us here at Mississippi State. That is incredible.
Yeah.
So that's a major highlight. And then also there have been people who have just out of the blue just donated that has substantially made impact in our various orgs because we all individually raise funds. So sometimes, Justin, we'll get those emails and we're like, what the heck? I got to give this person a call. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And that is, an incredible thing to open up and see. So thank you to all those people. That's always a highlight and a huge encouragement because when we see that, thankfully we do have a big staff team here, but you and I have served at other places where it was just us two. We might have an intern, maybe two interns, but it can be sometimes you're just in this and you don't get all the support and encouragement and all that. And so to see a donation come through or sit down to write notes to people who are monthly donors who are, it's just coming into the account, like you remember and you appreciate, oh, there are people, even though that they're not here with me, I don't have a staff, extra staff or whatever, you can see I have people supporting this. They believe in what I'm doing. And so thankfully now we have both. Like we have incredible people that are still supporting and donors and board members, but now we also have a staff team. So I feel like we stay pretty encouraged here at Mississippi State. Yeah. And we have a great place to work and the coaches and athletes, like it's a really sweet spot. I would say Mississippi State is a highlight.
Yeah.
I would say Mississippi State athletics is also a highlight. But yeah, any notable or, events that you remember just happening this year with board members, support, anything in that category?
When we do the luncheon, they put so much time and effort to get that event going and to run first class. And I feel like they did that this year. And we went to a new place in Mize for that event. Had the president come and share.
This was back in the spring.
FCA president.
Sorry,
it was May. It was like right there on the brink.
I'm giving him a hard time because before we started today, I said, only this semester. I can't, my brain can't handle highlights from the whole year.
Board meetings are a hoot. The stories that are shared are a blast. We've had a change where we've had a lot of, a group of our board members that when I first got here that were established and a part of it have moved on. They have kind of rotated off. And so now we have a new group in. And we're still trying to grow it back. And so it's different. So as we're getting to grow more together, we're kind of figuring out who we are as a team and as a group. Yeah, another highlight too is having board members host gatherings at their homes or in different spaces, or just a connection with somebody over lunch. It's really impactful, really important. And that connection leads to another connection. Next thing you know, somebody's more involved and awareness is spreading about what's happening. And so it's pretty fun. We can't do it alone. It's a whole team. And that's the thing about the board and donors out there, like this is a whole team. It's one big unit heading to the masses at Mississippi State. It's not just the 8 staff.
Right.
Yeah, it's like it's an army. And so y'all aren't here day to day, but you are in a different way through prayer, through support. You're allowing us to be here. We talked about Josh Gilreath when we were here, and he started, his vision was to actually have a staff person cover every team here. Mm-hmm. He never got to see that happen. It was just him and one other staff when he was here before he left. Now we have 8. We're able to cover every team.
Right.
So we're getting to kind of fulfill the vision that Josh had, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. The board events, I would say one of the highlights we talked about on another episode, but was definitely the athletes getting to share. Specifically in that context was really special when we had 3 track athletes share. And again, anytime that they can get in front of people and just share the impact of what is happening.
At the Ford's house.
Yeah. Is definitely a highlight. And I would be remiss if I did not mention Maroon 6 with First Baptist Church, a great group of people that'll come over and help and provide just sometimes snacks, or most of the time they do bring food. So if they're coming, we know that there's some food coming. But the students really love it whenever they come and they get to know them too through that. And we've had some other just businesses in the community donate things for the huddle. That's been a highlight. Would also say the new staff groups that I know both of us have had. Coach Darty with volleyball, she really wanted a group for ladies. And so we talked over the summer about that. And then the ironic thing was her schedule was so packed.
She wasn't able to
couldn't
do it.
come. But we did get something rolling on Mondays this fall. And then as a result of that, a strength coach knew of a female strength coach that came to our thing and approached Justin and said, hey, can we do something for the guys? And so that was really cool. The other day I met with Coach Darty and I got to share that story with her, that even though she wasn't able to come, and hopefully she will in the spring, but it was cool that just getting the ball rolling. And that's what I feel about all these areas, which would be really cool that we can update about, the new things that are happening. Because that's what it feels like. There's a lot of, sometimes you feel like you're planting seeds that are under the ground. This feels like we're just barely above the ground with some of these things, things have kind of sprouted and are coming forth. And we get to just watch how they grow. And sometimes the hardest thing is just to get it started.
Yeah, especially with coaches too. And I think we've found kind of that little spot, these younger coaches, really. Nothing against the older ones. It's just this younger group, especially on the guy side. My whole group is 20s.
Yeah.
And, 7 or 8 guys in their 20s.
And really, sometimes really those coaches that are support role type people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Their schedules, they still travel with the team, a lot of them, but their schedules allow for something like this to happen that you can do in person. They're not,
Yeah, they're not out recruiting.
Right.
They're not having to do a lot of other things. They have plenty of other things they're doing.
Sure.
But
they're always busy, but it doesn't seem like their schedule is as fluid, like where it's just like every day could look different, or you could get a call that's like, I got to go deal with this right now. And so anyway, that's been a major highlight because that has also been something I've wanted to start the past couple of years, just make something available. And that's oftentimes the hardest thing, is just finding like the time and the place to do it. And so now that we've done that, it's like if we need to adjust it, like it's just something that people can count on. And then if you need to change the time or place, that's not a big deal. But it's like you got the people.
Yeah. And then you have like a list of 4 or 5 that are like, if it were, we'll find out what next year's schedule looks like. But that's a whole new group that could jump in.
Yeah. So that's really the highlights that came to mind. I'm sure we missed some for the year. Do you have any other ones?
Yeah, watching the baseball coaches transition, that whole deal was challenging. But, to get to know Coach O'Connor and that staff, and bringing 2 teams together has been pretty special.
What do you mean by 2 teams?
Virginia.
Because some of those players came.
Fair amount of guys that transitioned from there, recruits and guys that had played. But then also, you have the returners for our team, and then you have a freshman class that is here. So it's seeing that form, seeing that culture being built, seeing the intentional efforts to build relationships by the coaching staff. Very, very intentional. Was really, really encouraging. Really encouraging. Thankful for Coach O'Connor and just what he has done so quickly here in bringing this group together, and just the coaching staff and just how much they care. The gratitude of being here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I think I heard one of the coaches on another podcast say something like, You just wake up and you come to this place every day, and it's just like, what in the world? Like, this is wild to be here, and just what baseball means to Mississippi State and this community.
Oh, God. Highlight alumni game.
Yeah.
10,000 people at an alumni game. What a special time as an alumni for me. But also, I can imagine the people that just came that were around for different eras of players or fans or students. Like, to watch that, I know it had to be pretty cool. It was special for me as a former player.
Yeah.
That's a moment I'm not going to forget.
Yeah. Very, very special. Also, I have to shout out Mary Ashley. We talked about all of our other staff, and I kind of mentioned her already, but I will say this. It was a goal of ours to change kind of like the look of social media, and she has done a great job. We had a great intern before Mary Ashley, Caitlin Guthrie, when we were first here. We got here. Caitlin got us on the right path of a lot of things.
She did.
She was so patient too. And so, there's different seasons where when you're leading a staff, it's like, especially at the beginning, it's like you're still trying to figure things out, and you really need people on your team who can just be creative, take initiative, roll with the punches. And Caitlin did that. And I'm so grateful because she really did. I mean that. She kind of like set a course and had to make some decisions that I was like, I don't know. Like, you just do it, And after Caitlin transitioned off the staff and Mary Ashley came, it was really nice because I kind of had something to work with, you know? And Mary Ashley has honed in on what we feel like we want our look to be on social media and what our posts need to be look and how they need to feel. And we've had some crazy, what we think are crazy numbers of the amount of views on our social media. And a huge part of that is Mary Ashley and what she's doing with design and engagement in that. So if you haven't looked at our Instagram, it's Hail State FCA _. And then also just the engagement from leaders to repost, reshare. And if you do follow us, that also helps like with the traffic and what people are seeing. If you will, repost and share. It's a great way to do that. All of that's on our website too. Like everything's on our website, msufca.org. The podcast is on there. Events are on there. Hail State FCA had to give to any individual staff or just the development fund. We try to keep that up so that people have one place to go. But our Instagram and social media and all that looks really great because of Mary Ashley. So highlight there because we were pretty pumped to see some of those numbers. We were like, what does this even mean? We don't know, but it's cool.
Yeah.
And she's just doing a really great job.
She takes those pictures too.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, she does a great job. So that kind of wraps up this episode. We just wanted to end the year with a fun, not necessarily, we talked about way more than 10 highlights. But just as we close out 2025, just super grateful for all the people that are involved and that make these moments happen. Thankful for staff, thankful for their intentionality and the way that they all work here. And anything else you want to say as we close out the year, Justin?
No, it's just important to reflect on these things and take a break.
Yeah.
We've been doing this long enough to where we really need to take these breaks for real.
Yeah.
And get some rest so we can really hit the ground running in the spring.
Yeah, the pace is very fast.
Yeah, and spring's crazy too.
Yeah,
spring's crazy.
Sometimes I think that fall is crazy. Like I'll think that, and then we get in the spring and I'm like, this is way worse.
Well, then you look at me and you're like, another baseball game?
Another.
And I'm like, yes, it is. I can't wait.
Oh, man. Yeah, baseball. But the kids are a little... Ben is a little older.
And you're about to get in the thick of basketball, so that's your special happy place.
SEC, yes. So we'll close out this year, 2025, and we look forward to the Created to Be podcast. Looks forward to seeing you in 2026.
Let's go.
Thanks for listening to the Created to Be podcast. To learn more about FCA at Mississippi State, visit www.msufca.org and follow us on Instagram at hailstatefca _. If you would like to become a financial partner, visit www.fca.org/donate to sow into the work God is doing through FCA at Mississippi State.